Lydia Ellery, what is your favourite game?
My favourite game is Final Fantasy VII. Right from the start, how I got into games when I was a little one. My older brother, who's 5 years older than me, he was into gaming, and like, you know, when you're little, you idolize your older sibling. I used to love playing games with him, so we would play on the SNES. Street Fighter 2 was the favorite, and I also remember playing Mortal Kombat and stuff when I was little, which now I think about, it's really bad. I was so little playing those games, but I didn't think my mum had any concept of like what I should be playing on video games, and I turned out fine, so it's all right. But yeah, so and then I got really into it, and my mum bought me a Mega Drive, and my brother sort of got out of gaming. He grew up and got interested in music and sports and stuff like that, whereas I just got more and more obsessed with it. So yeah, that's how it all kind of started.
And like, what about further down the line, like future consoles and games and all that there, before we get to Final Fantasy?
Right, so I had a Mega Drive, and then I remember the day I got bought a PlayStation 1, which was just the most exciting thing in the world. And God, then we got a PlayStation 2, which is technically supposed to be shared between me and my brother. I can't remember how old I would have been there, probably about I would have been an early teen. But I just remember that my mum didn't buy us a memory card to start with, and we got it on Christmas Day, and we got Grand Theft Auto 3 with it. So we used to just play it every single day for like 10 hours or something, and then again the next day because we didn't have a memory card. I can't remember how long it took us to get a memory card, but yeah, I've played the beginning of that game a lot. And then, oh God, what am I missing? We did have a Dreamcast. I used to play Sonic Adventure on that non-stop. I know, like I played it now and it's aged awfully, but like I loved that game. I was really into Sonic when I was a teenager. And then I sort of I got out of video gaming a little bit. Like I went to uni and stuff like that, and I didn't play as many games. I would just play sort of retro game, like not retro games, but games that nostalgic meant stuff to me, like Final Fantasy VII and things like that. I'd play that. But I wouldn't really play new games until I started up SquidGaming when I was about 20, and then I got like right back into it again.
Like you mentioned how you used to be crazy about Sonic. Talk part about that.
Okay, well, I don't know if this is just a thing like I had, but when I was younger, like a teenage, like sort of early like teens, I used to get really into stuff. Like, you know, when you get like obsessed with stuff, like a band or something. I got obsessed with Sonic the Hedgehog. I used to collect all the comics, Sonic the Hedgehog comics. I still have them. I have like loads of them. I used to just play Sonic Adventure 2 nonstop. I had like Sonic Heroes and things like that. And I played the earlier Sonics when I was little, like Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 and Sonic and Knuckles and stuff like that. But it was more about the Dreamcast, that sort of stage of my life when I was obsessed with it. I used to like write little like fan comics and draw pictures of Sonic. I was just obsessed. It was really weird actually. But yeah, so Sonic meant a lot to me at that age for some reason. I think it's also because one of my best friends was into Sonic as well. So we both kind of shared that love, which, you know, made it more to talk to someone else about it, because I didn't really know any other girls who liked video games. So that was nice.
Well, how do you feel about current Sonic today? Because obviously, like, there's two people involved with the show who really love Sonic, who we'll hear from further down the line, but like there kind of seem to be this kind of split on this obvious split by now that most people just avoid the modern games and just have this nostalgic love for the old ones.
Yeah, I'm gonna pretty much fit in with that camp. I haven't even really played that many new Sonic games. I'm trying to think what they even were. They've been. I played one on the Wii. What was that?
Sonic Colors?
Yeah, possibly. But whatever it was, I didn't really like it that much. I got it off Love Dot. Not bringing it back pretty quick. And the new, they redid what's his face? Sonic the Hedgehog, the original. They redid it, and I didn't like that much either, just because I found it was really slow and it just didn't feel like naturally speedy and frantic like it should have. Oh, but a good one I did actually really like was Sonic Generations.
Yeah,
I love that game. That game was really good. For me, that was like back to what Sonic should be like. I really enjoyed that.
The other two who I've had on to talk about kind of Sonic in part anyways, like they've like, at least for one of them, like they don't like Sonic Generations at all.
Oh really? Interesting.
Yeah, I mean like to be honest, like in terms of Sonic for me, like I've only played like part of Sonic 1 and then part of Sonic Generations and part of Sonic 4.
Right.
And beyond that, and maybe a bit of Sonic Adventure 1, and that was on the PSN version, not the Dreamcast, because I didn't have any non-PlayStation consoles until about nearly 9 years ago. But anyways, in terms of Sonic stuff, like I feel like I've kind of missed out on childhood here, especially as well as missing out on early Sonic games. Like I've missed out on early Mario games as well. It didn't take up until Mario Galaxy to realize that.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
Mario Galaxy was kind of my first foray into the 3D platform Mario series. So like I used to play SNES games with my cousin. He'd bring around his SNES, and he would play Mario, but for some odd reason I never played like the old Mario games, which was kind of bewildering for me.
Yeah, Mario's amazing. What's wrong?
I know. I've missed out on so much. So much because I'm just an idiotic PlayStation fanboy.
Yeah, I guess I was never really like a fangirl for any specific console. I was quite lucky in the sense that I got to experience lots of consoles when I was little, and growing up. So I had quite a good sort of, bit of everything rather than just sticking with one.
What about now? What about the consoles you have with you now, like PS3, 4, 360, 1?
I have, at the moment, I've got a PS3, I've got an Xbox 360, I have a Wii U, and I have a PC at the moment, and a 3DS. Those are consoles at the moment.
What are your games of choice?
Well, last night me and Holly did some streaming and we did some horror games, so that was fun. Have you played Five Nights at Freddy's?
No, that's horror, isn't it?
Yeah, horror. Yeah, it was absolutely terrifying.
God,
it's really scary. So that's what I'm playing on the PC at the moment. On the 3DS, I'm playing Virtue's Last Reward, which is the sequel to 9 Doors, 9 Hours, 9 People, or something. I can't remember what it's called now. It's basically 999, and it's like a super Japanese point and click puzzle game. I say super Japanese, like it's incredibly pervy. But
surprise.
But it's good though. It's very different and very dark and weird. So I've never played a game like it. And what else am I playing at the moment? Oh, of course, I'm playing through Final Fantasy IX at the moment as well, which is brilliant because I also love that game.
Talk about SquidGaming, how you set that up and why you decided to set that up, and the success of it. Okay,
so about 4 years ago, I used to work as a nanny, and this particular job I had at the time, I hated it. And I was listening to the radio one day, and it was like video game week, like I think, or something like that, and they were doing a piece on how there weren't many females in the video game industry. And at this point, I didn't know anyone from the video game industry. Like I was literally just a not a normal person, but a person that wasn't anything to do with it. And I heard that, and I was like, oh wow, the video game industry needs women. I should do that. I like video games. And I was originally going to write a blog. And I did write a blog, actually. I did a few entries, but writing isn't a stronger point for me. I much prefer, I guess, presenting. So I thought, okay, well, I'll do a video instead. And I got some help from my boyfriend at the time, and because I said, how do I like capture video games and how do I do this? Like, it was so new territory to me. I didn't know anything about it. And then one day I just sat down and I recorded a video about Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, and I've actually taken it down now. I still have it, but I took it down because it's so bad. It's so bad. But so I recorded that, edited it, put it up, put it on my like social medias, and just like got addicted to making videos, just got really into it, and then it just kind of went from there. I mean, I'd like to say it snowballed and spiraled out of control, and now I'm like some super famous YouTube star, but it's very slow and it's very difficult to make yourself noticed on YouTube, but obviously it's grown a nice amount in the last 4 years, and I did take a year out as well, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it's done.
Let's move on to your favourite game, Final Fantasy VII, which, for all intents and purposes, is one of the most beloved games of all time.
Yes.
One of the most beloved games of all time. Like, if chances are this would come out on most lists of anyone's favourite game ever. So, just talk about how you got into the series, because I'm assuming, like everyone else at the time, you pretty much got in around 7 or even 8.
Yeah, for me, so it was 7. So 7 came out in 1997. So I was 8 years old, and we had a PlayStation 1 at this point. I can't remember. I think it must have been my brother who got it, or like asked for it as a present, because I wouldn't have known about it. I didn't really know anything about what games were coming out and stuff at that age. But we had it, and my brother played it, and I used to watch him play it. And I remember when I was like, okay, I'm going to play this myself. And this was really fun. And I just got absolutely addicted to it, and continued to be addicted to it for just years. Like, I can go back and play that game and still love it. It's just the most perfect game.
And, like, this was at the time when RPGs weren't very commonplace in the mainstream, but after Final Fantasy VII, that just kind of blew up. Why do you think that was?
I think, well, for me anyway, it was just the perfect timing, because I was into sort of fantasy stories and films and TV and things like that. So being given this platform to immerse myself in a fantasy world where I was the main character, and it was just this huge, 4 discs or 3. I can't remember. 7 was 3 discs, and
3, yeah.
4. Yeah, so this 3 disc, which at the time I was like, whoa, holy crap, this game is huge. Like, massive world, which was, this sort of JRPG style, which again was really new and interesting. It just really captured, I think, everyone's imaginations, and just went crazy after that.
And like, you're talking about how you're playing Final Fantasy 9 right now, but like that kind of has a kind of the fantasy-ish, environments that we've come to know the series from by now, or in part of it anyways. But like, Final Fantasy 7 was the first kind of game in the series to introduce a futuristic, I'd say futuristic kind of world. Like, talking part about that world, about exploring it, how you found it.
Well, I mean, I remember the first few hours you're in Midgar, and Midgar's actually my favourite place in the world. I love the slums. My favourite it's so early in the game, but one of my favourite sections is the Wall Market section, where you get Cloud to dress up as a woman and stuff like that. Like, and then the Shinra building, all that. So that's kind of just like this sort of dirty, massive city. And I remember when you first leave Midgar, it's like, wow, there's actually this huge world to explore. It's not just all taking place in this city. There's all these different towns and villages, and I just love the world. from the little tiny towns like Calm and stuff, which has the cute little music, and going to Red 13's hometown with all the big rocks and everything. I don't know. I just love the diversity of it. I think the world is so interesting because it is so, like, every little town, every little city, village is different, and the music's so good that it just makes it such an exciting place to explore. Let's
talk about the music, because obviously the music is such a commonplace part of the series thanks to Yui Matsu-san's works.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how the music, because it's obviously such a key part of the game and the series.
Yeah, well, 7 for me has... I think it's my favourite music from any Final Fantasy. I love Final Fantasy IX's music as well, but 7 just tips it for me. It's just... The music is so iconic, and the reason that I feel personally like the music has gone slightly downhill as the Final Fantasies have progressed is it's got so complicated, and so maybe it's like the production value's gone up. I think it's lost some of its charm because it's all these big sweeping epic orchestra things that it might not stick in your head as much. But back in the days of 7, I just think the melodies and everything was so simple and like haunting and lovely that they just stick with you. I mean, like Sephiroth's theme is really simple, da, 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 but it's so creepy, and you just instantly, as soon as you hear the intro, the beat, you just know what it is. And obviously Aeris soundtrack when certain things happen in Final Fantasy 7, do 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 do, like it's so simple and so pretty that I just think it's just the most well composed music.
Is there any aspect of Yui Matsu-san's work in further down the line before he left Square? Is there any further soundtracks down the line that you enjoy since 7?
Well, I'm trying to think. I'm not actually sure when he left. What Final Fantasy did he leave?
Yeah, I think it was 10. It was after 10 he left. I'm
right.
Not sure. I'm checking this up now, but
right.
Go on.
Because I mean, after 10 is where Final Fantasy I've stopped sort of enjoying it as much, so that might be something to do with it. 8 has a good soundtrack. It is good, but it doesn't stick with me quite as much. I don't think it's as unique. 9 is brilliant. I love the music from 9. Some of the there's a song called Roses of May and stuff. They're just really pretty, and there's the Melodies of Life, which what I like about 9 is they actually use the same song over and over again, but they just do it in different ways and change it up a bit, and so you never even notice it's the same song. But it's quite clever how they do the soundtrack in 9. And 10's good, but again didn't stick with me as much. So yeah, I think 7 and 9 stick out having the best soundtrack, definitely.
Yui Matsu left Square Enix in 2004, by the way.
Okay.
So this was after 10-2.
10-2, right? Okay, that makes sense. Because yeah, I think it's like you can tell that he left. It was a big difference in the music production after he's gone.
Like what about 13? Like I think for all the faults 13 rightly has, because that is a really bad game. I think part of that soundtrack is really good.
I can't comment, I'm afraid. I haven't played 13. For me, the last Final Fantasy game that I really gave lots of hours to was 10-2.
Ah.
Yeah, not that that's a good game in any way or form, but that's probably the last one I really I played 12 a bit, but I didn't really enjoy it. So yeah, 12 was the last time I think I really sort of gave time to a Final Fantasy game, so I couldn't even say anything about 13. And there's been about a million spin-offs and everything as well.
Yeah, and like you mentioned the spin-offs there, and we're talking about music. You're playing Fear of them right now, Curtain Call.
Yes, Curtain Call is amazing.
I have the first Fear of them here on 3DS. Like, as someone who's not a hardcore Final Fantasy guy, and the first installment in the series, like I properly played, was 13. Which was a bad choice, but I digress.
Mm-hmm.
I have the first Fear of them on 3DS. I love that game. So good.
It's just brilliant, isn't it? It's such a simple yet fun game.
Yeah, stupidly simple, even simple enough for a baby to play.
Yeah, but Theatre Rhythm. I didn't actually play the first one, but Curtain Call, I love. I hadn't. It was one of those things that I can't believe I didn't actually know about sooner. Like I was aware that Theatre Rhythm existed, but I just never gave it any attention because I don't even know what I assumed it was. It just didn't interest me. But as soon as I played Curtain Call, it was like, oh my god, how did I miss out on this? I love the music from Final Fantasy. This is like my nerdy fangirl dream.
Let's get back to Final Fantasy VII then before we go way off track, because that's going to happen a lot this series. We've talked about the music, we've talked in part about the world. Let's talk in part about the writing on the game, or rather the story of it, to be honest. Like, talk about the aspects you love about that.
Well, I can even say, like, what is it, like 17 years since Final Fantasy came out, the story is still a bit baffling. Like, it's still really confusing. I mean, as Final Fantasy stories usually are, they're so complex. And especially with 7, you know, there's aspects of it now which still confuse me. But yeah, I mean, the characters, I think, make Final Fantasy 7 for me. I love Cloud. I think he was just the perfect, leader and hero, which I think for me is where 8 wasn't quite as interesting, because I didn't connect with Squall as much as I did with Cloud. Even though they're both, moody gits, I found Cloud just more likable. And of course the whole, there's the triangle, the love triangle going on, which is, you play a part in it at the beginning, kind of how you answer questions and things, who likes you more, who you go on a date with when you go to, what's it called? Gold Saucer, that's it, Gold Saucer, right, what was I saying? So talking about the dates. So of course the date that you can go on when you're at the Gold Saucer is sort of relies on the choices that you make throughout the game. I love any game which sort of gives you that kind of interaction. Of course the main bad guy was just crazy. Sephiroth was just the most ultimate badass character, which is something that 9 lacks. As much as I love 9, the bad guy doesn't live up to Sephiroth. He's just brilliant. Same with 8. No one, I don't think any Final Fantasy has ever been able to kind of accomplish what they did with 7's evil guy. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, of course there's the massive shock death, which was huge. That was massive. It was taking a main character who you'd leveled up, you'd grown really attached to. I used to use her in my party because she was, specialised in healing, so she was really useful. And then they just freaking killed her off. It was, the most intense shock tactic. So yeah, I mean, it's got all these different qualities which make it just the most exciting and immersive story.
Let's come back to Aerith's death, because that's like you said, 17 years since the game came out. In fact, it's 20 years this year the game started development.
Wow.
And that scene is very infamous by now because of how iconic it is.
Yeah.
Because of how much it's basically become a meme. Like, spoiler, Ares died.
Yeah.
Like, talk about your reaction when you played through that, or not when you played through, but when you saw that scene. Like, you saw Sephiroth coming down and just go in the Ares.
I think I was just so upset. I think I probably cried. I'm probably not the only person though. I think that scene made lots of people cry. It was just so beautifully done. Before that, Ares had gone missing from your party, so you're trying to track her down for ages. So you haven't had her in your party for a while. But by that point, you develop quite a relationship with her. I think that's. I'm trying to think now how far that is into the game. Near the end of disc 1, possibly. I might be wrong on that, but either way, you've had many hours to get attached to this character. And I always wanted Aeris to get with Cloud. When it was kind of like, do I want Cloud to get with Tifa or Aeris? I always wanted him to get with Aeris, just because I liked her more. So it was extra upsetting for me. And then, the cutscene, obviously the cutscenes back then, they didn't look particularly stunning. They weren't that amazing. The cutscenes didn't get really cool in Final Fantasy until number 8. But 7, it's only got a handful of them. But that scene where he just, he floats down and just stabs her through the stomach. I mean, it's brutal, and she just slumps over. It's they don't pull any punches. It's just really horrible. And then of course, it's the way, so the materia, it falls out of her hair, and with every bounce is like a note from her song. So like do 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 do. Like it's haunting the way they did it. It's beautiful. And then just seeing Cloud like let her just drop into the like wherever they are, the water, and just fade, disappear forever. It's really upsetting. They did such an amazing job of just breaking everyone's heart.
That's probably an apt way to describe it.
Yeah.
On the flip side, like you talked about him in part just then, but like like what about Sephiroth? Because like he is the bad guy to end all bad guys, not just in Final Fantasy, but like ever in games anyways.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't think of a game where, well, I mean, there's a few. Ganondorf is pretty iconic in that sense, from Zelda, but I just don't think any kind of bad guys lived up to Sephiroth's completely insane, crazy, evil persona that he has. Like his style, the long black coat, the long thin sword, and his grey hair. When I first played Untitled, I thought he was meant to be really old because he had this grey hair, not realizing that it was just a kind of like JRPG style where younger characters can have crazy coloured hair. So I think he's only meant to be like 22 or something. But yeah, so his style is very simple, but so like you instantly recognize him. But the fact that he's just such a nutter with his mum, Genova, and like the Promised Land and all this crazy stuff, he just he stands out. His, especially again, like I said before, his music is so haunting with the the choir and everything. And like whenever I think about Sephiroth, I just think about that scene in VII where that music's playing and he appears in the fire and he sort of just walks away, and he's just the ultimate badass. Like he is the ultimate bad guy for me.
And of course, in relation to Sephiroth, there's of course One Winged Angel.
Yes, exactly. That's just the best theme. It's I love Sephiroth. I do.
On the flip side of Sephiroth, there's perhaps Cloud, who's even now is living on infamously in the Final Fantasy series in one way or another. Not in the actual actual characters popped up throughout the series, but like in comparisons, like even now when Final Fantasy 14 came out, there was kind of comparisons between Cloud and Lightning. But just talk about Cloud for a bit, and like how influential he's been for the series.
Well, like I said earlier, I love Cloud as a character. I know opinions on the main characters in Final Fantasy can get split down the middle. I know lots of people love Squall. I do like Squall, don't get me wrong, but it was another kind of like moody main character who just wasn't for me as interesting as Cloud. I love 9 because I love Zidane, I don't know however you want to pronounce it. I like that they had a cheery, happy character who was totally opposite of Cloud, but I love them both. And then they did another cheery character with 10. They did Titus, and I just found him incredibly annoying. So they just kind of have hit and miss. Like they've done some grumpy characters who I love, and some happy characters who I love, but they've switched it around, done the same, and I've hated them. Whereas Cloud was just the perfect level of like emo. I think he was this stroppy, miserable git, but you couldn't help but think he was just really cool, with his massive Buster Sword. And then the more you found out about his, vulnerability, about his past and everything, and you saw him soften throughout the game, you fell even more in love with him. He sees someone that he feels strongly for get stabbed in front of him, and he finds out all his past is a lie, and he has this just horrible stuff happen to him. And by the end, I like, one of the favorite things he says is like, he says to everyone, "Let's mosey, guys," and everyone's like, "What the hell?" Like he turns into this like cute, friendly guy by the end. I like the transition that you see from the absolute grumpy, miserable git at the beginning to this nicer guy by the end.
In terms of its legacy, what do you think such legacy will be for Final Fantasy VII?
Well, I mean, there's already been. I mean, there's still so much stuff that's come from Seven. Obviously there was Advent Children, and there's been multiple kind of like cartoon sort of spin-off things and stories and films and everything, and it's always gonna, like, I think when anyone thinks of the perfect JRPG, it's always going to be Final Fantasy VII. I mean, personally, I am one of the people that would freaking love them to do a remake of it, but a very specific remake. I think they should remake Final Fantasy VII, make it look real beautiful. Like, they did that demo when was it when 3?
Yeah, PlayStation 3 was announced. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looked amazing. Just the intro with Aeris walking along. I just think it looked beautiful, and I want that, but I don't want voices, because for me, voices was the beginning of the end for Final Fantasy. I hated it when 10 had voices. Tidus sounds so freaking annoying. Yeah. Like, oh god, shut up. And I love giving the characters voices myself. Like, I'm such a nerd, I like giving them like their own little accents and stuff. So I would hate for them to have voices, because I'm also a Kingdom Hearts fan, and obviously in Kingdom Hearts, characters from 7 pop up in that, and they have voices, and I'm not a fan of them. Especially, I think Aeris's voice, she just sounds really drugged up and confused. Like, it's just not how I would have imagined her to sound in any way. So things like that are just really like, oh, disappointing. So I want them to remake it, but still have text, because text just wins for me when it comes to a fantasy story.
And like you mentioned in part as well, like the compilation of Final Fantasy VII, like with Advent Children and the games that have kind of come after 7 in terms of spin-offs. Like talk about Advent Children first. Have you seen Advent?
Yes, I have. A few years ago now, but I have seen it. Yes, I really loved it, actually. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to think how long ago I saw it now. It's probably like 6-7 years ago I saw it now. But no, I really enjoyed it. I think pretty sure I watched the Japanese version rather than the dubbed version, which probably helped, because I can't remember if the dubbing was the English dubbing was any good or not, which would obviously have a massive impact on how good the film was. But yeah, it was good. Pretty like over the top and insane, but I just loved any excuse to see those characters again. I love that it had the Turks in it and everything. Because being such a huge fan of Final Fantasy, it's just nice to sort of get a little bit more from the story, and have a little bit more from the characters. And it was quite sort of there's a lot of closure in it. Because of Aeris and Zack, what happens at the end. I don't want to be like spoilerific, but there's closure involved in it, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
And you talk in part about Zack, of course. We have to come the Crisis Core.
Yeah.
That was in terms of mainline games, 13 was the first for me. But like in terms of Final Fantasy, any Final Fantasy game, Crisis Core was my first Final Fantasy. In a large part anyways, and I really enjoyed it, and one of the reasons why I enjoyed it was because of its in part anyways action gameplay rather than turn based.
Right.
Like did you play Crisis Core?
I did, yes, but I don't have such a a good time with it as you did, I have to say. I like getting to know more about the story before 7, finding out more about Zack and everything, because he's such a sort of mystery in Final Fantasy 7 that it's nice being able to get to know more about him. And I think the graphics are great, and I love the cutscenes. Like, some of them were just amazing. With Sephiroth and stuff, they were just stunning. But just what you said you liked about it is what put me off it. I didn't like the fighting gameplay at all. For me, it just, I don't know, it just lost a bit of its spark, the style of it. I just wanted it to be turn-based.
So you're in terms of action, like, or turn-based, you're definitely turn-based, almost.
Yeah, I guess when it comes to like a JRPG, I prefer turn-based. Yeah, I don't know why, I just connect with it more.
What about the future of the series, like in terms of Type 0, 15, like you mentioned there, how you've not kind of been how I say, engrossed in the series for 13 or even 14, because they're either not very well made, well, not very well made, but they're not very, very good games, or because they're online games. Like, are you excited for 15? Are you excited to play Type 0?
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, I know I just said I wasn't so keen on more recent developments, but the trailer for 15 does look pretty spectacular. I am interested in it because I don't know, and the gameplay looked pretty amazing. It just looks so freaking stunning that it has got me interested. I mean, it's hard for me to really say like, oh, the other games like 13, 2 and stuff like that weren't that good, because I haven't even played them. I just heard from other people. I've watched stuff online. I've just seen it and I've seen them and thought they're just not Final Fantasy for me personally, because it's so different to what it was when I was younger, that when I play, like, those style of games aren't Final Fantasy for me. But so it's hard. I mean, like, I'm being really unfair in my judgment, but also I've heard obviously awful things about 13, which has put me off it.
Yeah.
You played like Lightning Returns, and is it 13.2? Is it actually called 13.2? Am I doing right now?
It is 13.2.
Yeah. I mean, to play those, do you have to play 13?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. I'd have to like go back and play 13. So I'm just...
to be honest, I wouldn't force that on even my own worst enemy.
Yeah, there we go. That's it all, really. But yeah, no, I think 15 looks great. Project Zero as well. Yeah. So I mean, I'm hopeful that the glory days will return. You know, that'd be nice.
Have you not been interested in playing 14? Because that apparently, like, I have a copy here on PS3 that I've been trying to get on the PS4, but from what I've heard of people, like, it seems more akin to the Final Fantasies of past than games like 13.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen lots of people been screenshotting pictures from it and stuff, and it does certainly look a bit more kind of the style of Days Gone By. I mean, I am definitely interested in playing it. It's wait, I'm getting confused now. It's the online. 14's
Yes.
online, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I tried 11. Was it 11 was online? Tried 11 and just like did not get into it at all. And I guess that sort of made me wary of online Final Fantasies, because I know that they can just kind of turn into this big repetitive world rather than a coherent, like, tight storyline. But like you said, like, people have been saying amazing things about it, so I'm sure it's a big step up from 11.
If I had to ask your top 3 Final Fantasy games, how would they go in terms of mainline, anyways?
Mainline. Okay, so
7 be at the top, obviously.
7's at the top, very, very closely, as in basically tying, but, you know, to put it in some kind of order, I guess it has to go second, would be Final Fantasy 9. If you haven't played 9, then, and you have played 7, then play 9, because 9 is brilliant and so overlooked. So yeah, that's definitely my second favourite. And then third one, I would say, I'm just going to be boring now and say 8, because I think those were like the glory days of Final Fantasy, 7, 8 and 9. Those 3 games were just, for me, I think of that as being Final Fantasy. When people talk about Final Fantasy now, it's been so many since then. You know, it's been 13 and Lightning Returns and 13.2 and online games, and I don't think of those as Final Fantasy. I think of 7, 8 and 9 as Final Fantasy. So yeah, that would be my order.
So just name your honourable mentions. Go nuts.
Okay, my honourable mentions. Well, okay, I've already spoken a lot about Final Fantasy 9, so I probably don't need to talk too much about that, other than, you know, it is a perfect game and people should play it. I also I still am in love with the Metal Gear Solid series.
Yes.
So for me, again, when I was a teenager, I wasn't only just obsessed with Sonic, I was obsessed with Metal Gear Solid as well. So 1, 2, and 3 are just incredible games. I've played them again recently. 1 is it's just so good. I love everything about 1. I know it's not quite as sort of like when you compare it, I still think 3's like a better game.
3's a masterpiece in my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. But like the nostalgic love that I have for one, and you know, the story and everything about it. I love it, and you know, the relationship between Meryl and Snake and the bosses and everything about it. It's just so good, and the music, you know, the kind of the clever things they did in it, like when you fight Psycho Mantis and changing the control around and making it vibrate, and so it's like he's moving it with his mind and stuff. You know, it's such a good game. And Solid Snake, especially as voiced by David Hayter, is the like up there in terms of, you know, like awesome hero. I was talking about Cloud. He's, you know, he's an awesome hero who I love. I love Snake. So yeah, and same applies for 2 and 3. I remember I was obsessed with 2, even though it gets a lot of bad press, and after playing it recently I do kind of understand why, because there's definitely lots that aren't as strong in terms of sort of compared to 1. It still is a really good game, I think, and I still loved it. I must have played it like 10 times when I was a teenager. And I think one of my proudest achievements was completing it on European Extreme. So I was just obsessed with it. And yeah, you know, 3, we just said it's basically a perfect game. It's brilliant.
It's the masterpiece, the end all masterpiece as well, except for Last of Us. But like, I finished MGS3 myself recently, along with 2 on my Vita, and like just play like you mentioned at the top of the show about how you started playing 9 again for the first time in a long time, and how that kind of reawakened your love for that game. Basically, for me, playing MGS3 again, that was kind of the same for me, because I knew I loved it, but like up until I played it again, I didn't realize how much. And by the end, like by the time I finished that game, I realized how much I love MGS3, and I will forever love it until I go to my grave. It is an absolute masterpiece, and I will say that word until it is worn out on that game. But it really is a masterpiece.
No, I agree. You know, and I'm so excited for Phantom Pain now. I just cannot wait for that game. So yeah, I love another Soul series. What else would be on my list? I'm a Zelda fan as well. Ocarina of Time has a very special place in my heart, because when I was younger, we got an N64 for Christmas, and I sat and watched my brother play Ocarina of Time, and it was just the nicest memory I have. I just loved watching him play. And then again, in similar sense with like Final Fantasy VII, I then played it myself, and I love it. It's just it's a beautiful, magical, like just a stunning game. And sorry, wait, I need a drink, Johnny. Talking for so long that like my throat is like going really dry. Headset. Right, sorry about that. Yeah, what I was saying about Ocarina of Time. And again, I mean, I always come back to the same things with the music, like the Lost Woods song, and you know, Zelda's main theme and everything about it. For me, that's just pure nostalgia gaming. Like, I love it. And the N64 was a really good time in gaming, I think. Like, Mario 64, again, freaking amazing game. I love that game. I tried they did like a remake on the DS, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't love that as much. I don't know. I tend to like the originals more than I like the remakes. When they kind of try and mix it up a bit, it's like, no, don't change anything. It's perfect the way it was. All right, sorry. Now let me think. What else? You know when you're like asked actually on the spot what games you like, you suddenly think, I don't know. I know I've played many games, but now my mind's gone blank. Okay, so I think you said someone was coming on to talk, or has come on to talk about Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Assassin's Creed 2, especially Brotherhood. I love.
I just don't get on with the rest of the series post 2.
Oh really? So what didn't you like about Brotherhood?
I just couldn't connect with Brotherhood. I'm sure it's a great game, but for some reason it just couldn't connect with me. I maybe I need to replay it again. Do you understand why I couldn't get on? Because of fuck-ups on both the technical and human side, the final 15 minutes of this episode of My Favourite Game are now lost in the winds of time, which meant Lydia didn't get a chance to finish off her honourable mention section. However, she did say her top 3 games ever were Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy IX, and Metal Gear Solid. Because of Sid lost the final 15 minutes, she didn't get a chance to hawk her stuff as well, so I'm going to do that for her. So you can follow her at Twitter at SquidGaming, on Facebook at facebook.com/SquidGaming, and of course on youtube.com/SquidGame. Thanks for listening to My Favourite Game. Next week, Dave Cook on Streets of Rage 2. Until next week, bye bye.